Hi everyone, and welcome back to Books with Beth. Today's book will be somewhat different from all the others. I decided to read it after seeing a little post on Tumblr. I know. It's a bit of a hellhole, especially right now. But that makes it the perfect place to find a bad book or two. Anyway, the post was about terrible post-Hunger Games dystopian young adult books. You can pause it here if you'd like to read it. And despite my expectations being already so low, this book was so awful that my faith in YA is now 6 feet below ground, along with my mind, body, and soul. If you're enjoying my misery and despair, consider subscribing to make all of this worth it in the end. Now, let's get to the review, which will include spoilers, by the way. My problems with the book began as soon as I got to the very first page of the prologue. We're introduced to a character called Thalia Apple, which is a pretty weird name to say the least. What is this? Strawberry shortcake? At least she had the whole alliteration thing going on. Anyways, our character reaches for an apple. I see we are foregoing all subtlety in this book. But that wasn't even the worst part. The smell of the apple somehow turns her on. As you can see, she desperately needs to touch some grass. Or on second thought, considering she's strangely attracted to plants, maybe she shouldn't. When she eats the apple, though, it falls through her open belly button onto the ground. But it turns out none of this matters, since it was a dream, which we all know is a literary trope that's perfect for the beginning of a book, and does not piss anyone off, ever. After reading the prologue, I was already kind of sick of this book, but it didn't provide me with enough content for the video, so I decided that I would be covering the prologue and part 1 for this video. Part 1 is 200 whole pages, by the way, so I think it's more than enough. Let me know if you're hungry for more though, and I might make another video for part 2. Anyways, I wanted to bring up the awful dialogue in this part. An example is when Thalia asks her friend Yaz if she changed her eyes using futuristic technology. And I'll read out this excerpt of what happens next. "Yes," she says, blinking bright blues at me. "You likey?" Reading this piece out loud made me wish I was a robot, like the ones in the book. Then, I wouldn't have to experience the huge amount of cringe that comes with the phrase, "you likey," which no one ever even says. The book is also very much guilty of exposition dumping, which is repeating stuff that they obviously know for our benefit, in a way that isn't organic or natural at all. An example of this is when Thalia and Yaz have a conversation about children. Thalia explains how chemicals are added to your body to make you want to procreate, and the way your body reacts to children, as if Yaz doesn't already know all of this stuff. It's very poorly done, it's irrelevant to the plot, and it's just really dragged out. And the worst part is, this is a very common occurrence. Something that kind of annoys me as well is that Thalia is quirky, and not like the other girls. She hates the futuristic technology, kind of looks down on people that do like it, and enjoys being part of an obscure hacking group called the Dinosaurs, instead of becoming a social media influencer like all the other kids. That last one wouldn't be so bad though, if she wasn't constantly alluding to it as a reason that she's so much better than everyone else. Also, it's kind of weird that they named themselves after dinosaurs. You know, those lizard creatures that were very famously wiped out a while ago. Can you imagine naming a very anti-government, anti-capitalism secret society looking for world domination after lizards? I'm sure that wouldn't raise any alarm bells. Anyways, here's a quote from Thalia that kind of shows you the quirky attitude I was talking about. "I have no idea why every night thousands of kids my age sit around plugins in every population center around the world, doing the same dumb things, making avatars and playing games, and chatting about the insular little worlds we've created, but never really interacting." As I'm sure you've noticed, the main point, the main moral of this quote, as well as the entirety of part 1, and most likely the entire book, basically boils down to technology bad. It's repetitive and it's boring, and it doesn't make any interesting new points or provide insight into our use of technology. It's just oddly reminiscent of boomer humor, you know, a very Kids these days and their phones kind of vibe. My grievances with the names also continues as we progress through the first part. When Thalia joins the analogs, not only do we have apple, but we're introduced to basil, radish, and spinach. Names that make the theme of food and hunger feel overstated and obvious, which it didn't have to, despite being the name of the book. This book could honestly benefit from a lot of subtlety. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. Thank God. Due to the psychological, physical, and spiritual impact of this book called Hungry, I will most likely not be able to be eating anything for the next few hours and keeping it down. If you have watched thus far, please leave a green emoji in the comments, and feel free to like and subscribe too. Bye!